It's the Krown podcast. It's the Krown podcast. If you know, you know.
It's your boy G-Mo the Great.
And I'm Nicole Umbrers, aka Young Cook.
Another episode of Crown Juice Podcast. You know what I'm saying? And we over here at Wolf Nation, so we want to show big love out to them and appreciate y'all for having us. And we're about to get right into it, man. We got some illustrious guests. You know what I'm saying? We got none other than Tammy and Shanta of Trinity Rising Counseling.
Yeah.
How you ladies doing today? Good. So we thought it was extremely important to have a show like this today, focusing around mental health. I know that it became a lot popular this year, but I'm with all the popularity, so it's cool. You know what I'm saying? We need it in our community. And it was important. Me and Nicole had a lot of long talks about bringing on a specialist. We were lucky to get 2 specialists. And we wanted someone who was age appropriate. I was bumping into a lot of older people.
That happened.
And I didn't feel like it would have been relatable for our audience. So
We are not age shaming.
Right.
Stop it.
It's like maybe.
We want to just do it for the culture the right way.
yeah, so we just want to give y'all some time here just to introduce yourselves.
Okay. Well, my name is Tammy. I'm from Georgia. I'm a transplant here in Dallas. Hey, y'all.
Teachers in the building.
So I am a licensed professional counselor, and I specialize in trauma and addiction. So I'm so glad everyone is jumping on the bandwagon for mental health.
Yeah.
And I am Shanta. I'm a licensed professional counselor as well. I'm here from Dallas, Texas.
Hey, girl.
Hey, girl, hey. Excuse me. And I specialize in depression and women's issues. So postpartum, feeling stuck, the superwoman syndrome. We feel like we got to do everything.
I need to talk to you then.
Yeah, girl, I got you.
Shoot.
So that's,
Yes, and I'm like Tammy. Like, I love the fact that therapy is popping right now, and it's not a dirty word.
It's
Yeah.
not.
Yes.
I'm so
Dirty
glad it's not
word.
anymore.
No, right.
Anymore, because let's be realistic. And for a
Especially-
long time.
I wouldn't say, especially in the Black community.
Yeah.
especially, yeah.
It's hard. You know, now I'm seeing a lot of different Black people, males and females. I'm so happy when I see the males come through. But before, if you would talk to anybody else, it's like, yeah, I go to my therapist every week. I talk to a Black person. No, I'm gonna talk to my family.
I go
or
to
something.
church.
So,
Yeah.
And that's what I was having this conversation with the girls on my other show. We were talking about when let's say I have a guy friend and I say, you might want to go to counselor for this because I'm not equipped to handle all the baggage you're throwing on me. And the first thing they say is, I don't want nobody to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
My response is, maybe they're just going to listen to you and let you self-discover.
Yeah.
So, again, I think therapy is really important.
Yeah. Well, it's something just growing up personally, my family didn't talk about, discuss. You know, I had an auntie who struggled with alcoholism, and for the longest, just like, you know, that's just your auntie, that one over there. And you always had that one family member. It's just that
The
how they
bipolar
act.
uncle.
Yeah.
He cool 1 minute, next minute you like, what is wrong with him?
He throwing the potato salad.
Exactly.
That was one of my questions. I wanted to know when your first experience outside of you getting into the mental health industry. I want to know what your first experience was with mental illness. For me personally, my mother was bipolar and schizophrenic, and she also abused alcohol. So I had a very different upbringing, but it was like my family was not compassionate to her, and it's just like, how do you even, how are you even supposed to be compassionate to somebody that's even in that state that doesn't want help or doesn't understand that they do need help?
Yeah.
And it is a stigma on seeking mental assistance. So my question, sorry I elaborated. My question is, what was your first experience with mental illness before your career?
Before my career, Savannah, well, I'm from Savannah, Georgia originally, so crack cocaine hit Savannah really, really hard back in the 80s, 90s. And unfortunately, a few of my family members got, caught up with using some of those things. And I remember I went and visit one of my aunties for the summer, and her and her boyfriend both abused crack, and it was the craziest summer that I can remember. She used to steal my $5 that my mama sent to me. It was just
definitely dealt with that.
craziness. Yeah. And I just remember calling back home, asking my mom, like, why would you send me here? What's wrong with you? Like, are you not responsible? And, you know, I can just remember her telling me, like, you know, bear with your auntie. She's just going through some things. And I just couldn't understand, like, okay, if she's just using it, she can just stop. Like,
And there's so much more to it than
it's so much more. I had no comprehension of what it was she was actually going through. So just the up and down, the craziness, the fights, it was just so much that I was just like, okay, well, this is just what some people, aunties do.
And yep, same similar situation I have.
What about you, Shanta?
For me, it was
Okay.
He was like, swerve.
for me, it was like I've experienced anxiety, and I still sometimes deal with that. But growing up, I didn't know what it was called. I was worried a lot. I always had like this feeling in my stomach. My heart would race. And I went to college originally for criminal justice because, you know, growing up in black family, you're going to be a doctor or a lawyer. And so they was like, you like to argue, so you're going to go be a lawyer. So I went for criminal justice. I took a psychology course, and that just changed my entire perspective. And when I learned about anxiety, it was like, oh my God, I've been dealing with that my whole life, and I didn't have a name for it. And so that was kind of the introduction into counseling and mental health and the stuff that we all deal with, but we don't have a name for it.
Yeah.
You just feel like, oh, that's just Cousin Shantae, she always worried about something. You know, and it's like, well, no, Shantae dealing with some anxiety.
Interesting. That, yeah.
And what brought you ladies together, though?
So, good old Metro Care. I don't know if anyone's heard of it, but
MHMR.
yes.
I feel like I've heard MHMR, but not Metro Care.
I'm a transplant, so I don't.
Oh, okay.
Y'all in these transplants.
It's down the street from Rudy's Chicken.
That's all you had to say.
Really?
But, hey, that's how I remember it.
Okay.
But yeah, we both was working there, and we realized that even though we're providing these services, people needed a lot more, and they was not getting quality services. Yeah. And we both would sit down, we'd come to each other's offices, talk. And I'm like, man, my practice is going to be different. It's going to be like this, this, this. And she was like, man, I got the same dream. And so then one day we were just like, well, sure, let's bring both our dreams together.
Yeah.
And literally, it was just like, it just happened for us. We kind of planned it while we was working there, like laid out this blueprint of what we wanted. And I think she went off.
I got deployed.
She got deployed. I got pregnant. And once I had the baby, she was on her way back, and it was just like we hit the ground running.
It worked out.
And it worked out perfectly.
Nice. So explain the name to me. Like, where'd y'all come up with the name?
Well, we originally started off with 3, so that's how we got the Trinity. Then it became 2, but that's okay. We still like the Trinity.
Because the Trinity is like the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. You
Right.
can still throw that up in there.
Amen.
Yeah.
And so it kind of played along where it was just like us 2 black girls busting through the doors, busting through this industry, bringing something new, being young, having this fresh mindset. And so it was just like, we're going to rise up above everything, above our backgrounds, our history, our environment. We're going to come and we're going to bring the community something that they can really value and latch on to.
And relate to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So have you guys like received like how was the reception so far since starting in Trinity?
It's been really good. It's been really good.
Yeah.
Like, the support is overwhelming. Like, the clients that come through my door, especially the ones that, you know, the black clients, they just like, I'm so happy I found you. When I went searching, I only seen, you know, older white ladies or older white males. So we're so happy just to come across someone of color on, you know, on this page as a therapist. And I was like, yeah, we out here.
And it's funny because they don't want to say, like, I was looking for a black therapist, but you have a preference. You have a preference with everything else that we do. And so when you go into therapy, I want you to find someone who you are comfortable with. And so we wanted to make sure that we are representing our culture. And so when you sit across from us, we look like you, we come from similar backgrounds, we talk like you, and we get you. And so I think that has been the driving force of people kind of navigating to us and relating to us.
Don't be shy now.
Because, no, Shantae actually answered my question. I was going to say, what drew you to the realm of mental health? For you, it was going to school for criminal justice and studying psychology and saying, you know what, now I understand myself.
Yeah.
And that kind of maybe gave you the inkling to keep going.
And it's, we don't talk about it.
Right.
And it's like we sweep things under the rug, and we have these family secrets and these generational curses, and no one wants to talk about it. And so I always want people to be comfortable that in therapy, this is the place that you talk about it. There is no judgment. You come here, you are comfortable, you talk to us, and you work through whatever that pain that you've had, the trauma that you have, because those childhood things, they roll over into our adult life.
Right.
And people don't recognize that. And I always say that we are bearing fruits from trees that we didn't plant.
Right.
So, like, we have stuff from our family, our moms, our parents, just environmental stuff. You grow up in the hood, in the projects, you see things, you see violence, you see drugs, and you deal with that when you become an adult. You have broken relationships. You can't talk to people right. You're used to yelling, cussing. And it's like we have to work through that.
Yeah. One of my clients said best. She was just like, I realized that I'm going to spend my 30s working through my 20s.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah.
That's
yeah.
deep.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was.
Sheesh. That just made me.
Sheesh.
I need a drink to sit on that one.
And I was going to say something about what Shantae said. It's very interesting how people don't have that voice to kind of say what they're going through.
Right.
And sometimes in the session, when they're going to say something about themselves, they start whispering really low. And I'm like, wait, why are you whispering? It's just the two of us. I can still hear you. You can say it, you know. And it's just so liberating when they finally say that secret that they've been holding on to. And it's just like, let it go, let that out,
Yeah.
So it's really interesting. I really chuckle on the inside, not the outside. When they just start whispering, I'm just like, okay.
We getting there.
We
yeah.
getting there. We getting there.
I mean, that's all I got for intros. I'm ready
That's
to get to talking to y'all a little bit more.
So what we want to do, we got a session on our show called the IRK Session.
Bro, what's irking you?
Bro, what's irking you?
It's pretty much like a real human moment to be you and just put out there what's irking you at the moment. And so we want to tie it into today's topic and segment and just kind of go over what myths irk you the most about mental health.
Ooh, I got one.
What you got?
That you cannot go to therapy if you're a Christian and that you in the church.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
You will be shocked how many people feel like they're betraying God because they go and speak to a therapist. Because typically, we grow up thinking any problems that you have, you're supposed to pray, go to the altar, allow this man or woman to throw holy oil on you, and things are going to be okay. But I feel like God created me. He created this field, and he put people in place to help you. And so a therapist is the person that he put in place to possibly help you. And we always say faith without works is dead.
Right.
I feel like the works part may be therapy.
Yeah. I think I would have to agree with that.
That's very true. And then if a problem don't work out, they'd be like, you're not praying hard enough. I said, well, what you want me to do?
My lashes off.
Right, exactly. What's irking you, Tam?
Man. I think kind of like the stigma that someone who struggles with mental health is violent or aggressive. And then you have all these movies that come out like, what's that movie? Split
I knew you was gonna say
and
that.
different things. Like, it's just like everyone with mental health issues is not violent. It's not aggressive. Most of the time, you won't even know someone has mental health issues unless they tell you. So just seeing people, just how they react and respond, just like, no, you probably more violent than anybody else. What you mean?
Right.
So yeah, that kind of irks me some.
And also the stigma with like medication. A lot of people are like, oh my God, I don't want to take meds. Like, that's not going to do anything. And granted, it's different for everybody. But in some cases, it can be so beneficial to just stabilize you because you may be in that deep depression where talk therapy may not work for you in that moment. And so I do always try to educate about medication management, the importance of medication, and how it can truly help you and give you the boost that you need in order to start doing the groundwork. Because sometimes you can be deep in that depression, and me talking to you is not going to do anything.
Yeah.
And so medication can help stabilize you. And so that's one of the things that I always tell people, don't just throw medication off the table. Like, let's have a conversation and a dialogue about it before we just say no to medication. You take meds when your back hurting. It's like we are okay with medical diagnosis and taking medication, but it seems like mental illness is like it's not the same thing.
Right.
And it's a part of your body. It's your brain.
Yeah.
It's a muscle. And so you have to take care of that just how you take care of your back and your arms and your diabetes and all that stuff. No, I'm just saying.
What myths have y'all heard about mental health?
I don't have a myth. I have like a personal experience.
You got an IRK?
Let's go.
I got an IRK.
Let's go.
So my
Wrong
IRK, my big IRK is this. When I was younger and used to like be in relationships, and when somebody did something to like disrespect you or they lied to you, and you say you like bring it up to them,
Yeah.
and then they say, "Oh, you crazy?"
Oh, the crazy
Like,
word.
or you get mad. You know, I don't know if anybody else do this, but maybe I.
Like I'm rebelling
Like
too
if
much
you
right now.
if you ain't listening to me, you telling me I'm crazy, then I get louder, and then you want to say, "Oh, you bipolar." You know you're not listening to me,
Yeah.
and I want to be heard right now. Like,
Or that's similar to like when we always use bipolar and also antisocial.
yeah,
Like you don't talk to nobody, you don't hang with nobody, so you just antisocial.
but you could just be observant.
And I ain't gonna lie, man. Like, you know, I'm pro male and everything, but
Go ahead, spill
I ain't
it.
gonna lie, man. Us men, we got it bad saying y'all crazy. You know what I'm saying? And especially when we trying to get out of a situation, we be like,
Exactly.
she acting crazy.
Yeah.
Like,
But
why
like,
she
you
crazy?
tripping.
it's crazy.
Or that be making me so mad.
You know, now that you say that, you know what irks me is Mel say, "Oh, I don't have no emotions. I'm good." But let somebody from 8th grade break up with you, you gonna hold on to that till you like 38.
Oh yeah,
She broke up
done.
with
She done.
She cheated on me after you done slept with like 10 other women.
That don't count.
Right.
See, that's a whole nother topic. That's another podcast.
No, we definitely hit on that.
So, man, so my IRK, man, it's a little different, you know what I'm saying, from a male perspective. I hate society's standard that a man is supposed to be tough, we're supposed to be hard, we're supposed to be successful, we're supposed to have it all together, be a player, even though that's misogynistic, you know what I'm saying? But as soon as we show any sign of doubt, stress, depression, anxiety, we consider it weak, you know what I mean? And I think like that's a stigma that goes across all lanes. When you're a man, you're not supposed to show that sign of weakness. And then if you use medication to, you know, to sedate yourself or whatever, then they consider you crazy or again, violent. You know what I'm saying? You get so many other stigmas. You're unstable. You know,
There's something wrong with
untreatable.
you.
You're an untreatable person. There's so many things that they put on men, and so men, we tend to veer away from being labeled that way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And it's a lot of what society say. Like I said, you're supposed to have. You're a good man if you make money. You make a lot of money, and you got a lot of women, and you know what I'm saying, all of that, those things that
Right.
necessarily aren't the greatest things, but when it comes to just being stressed out, having a bad day, being upset, being depressed, we're not supposed to deal with that outside of ourselves.
Right.
You are absolutely right.
So that's
The
my
crazy
IRK
thing
right
about it though, with that IRK G is the fact that everybody be like, "Oh, just hit the blunt,"
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
and it's just like, is that supposed to solve everything?
That's-
like, what happens when the high calm down?
Come on, addiction. Because we talk so much about the use of like marijuana and people feeling like that's not really a drug.
So I had to explain this to one of my clients. Marijuana in the plant form, that's like a herb, has all these great benefits. Soon as you manipulate it, you change it, you alter it. That's a drug that you can be addicted to. And a lot of people feel like, well, I can't go to rehab for marijuana. No, I've seen people in rehab for marijuana, and guess what? They needed medication just like everyone else.
Right.
And a lot of times, let's be honest, you don't know who's selling you these drugs most of the time.
Right.
You think you know them, you know, but you
they're
don't
not
know what they
making
putting in
drugs.
there.
Yeah.
You don't know what's happening, how they cutting it. And so, yes, you can become addicted to marijuana because it is a drug. It's manipulated. You putting
But
stuff in there.
even deeper than that, I always ask, you have to get high so much, right? What are you running from? What don't you like about yourself that you have to smoke a blunt to feel okay or normal? And that lets me know there's something deeper that we have to talk about that you should be in counseling for.
Right.
Like if you have to smoke, like soon as you wake up, you got to hit the blunt. Soon as you go to bed, you got to hit the blunt. In order to get through the work day, you got to hit the blunt. Like there's a problem with that.
Yeah. And people justify it and say, "Oh, it's just a little bit."
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what?
Yeah.
Yeah, and my other irk, I got a two for the day. I'm in my bag today. So my other one, and I think this is important to say as well, it's the holiday season, and it's a lot of people celebrating it by themselves, whether you relocated or whatever. Check on your strong friend. I feel like that we don't do enough for our strong friends. I am the strong friend, so like a lot of people don't check in and be like, "Are you good? You cool?" And you get left hanging. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like that's our irk of mine. Like, treat us all on a level playing field.
Yeah. I have the same, another topic I discussed on the other show.
Yeah.
And I know my conclusion, to give it away a little bit, was if you're the strong friend, maybe you do not need to go get help.
Yes.
And I say that because I've actually been through a lot of things, and it was a time in my life where I found out where I didn't have no friends because I went through something that none of them experienced.
Yeah.
And nobody checked on me. Nobody called me. Everybody knew what was going on, but nobody reached out. So it was like, okay, maybe I have to be the strong friend for myself and just say no to what I can't handle and go get, somebody to talk to.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that I always say, because that's one of the, check on your strong friend, make sure your strong friend is okay. But as the strong friend, it's like, be okay to say that I'm not okay.
Yeah.
Like, don't put on that front. Like, take that mask off and be like, you know what, I'm dealing with this. Now, if they don't show up for you, then you know who your people is.
Yeah.
But outside of that, like, let's not put it all on the people that we call friends or associates. But also, like, let's wave that flag. Like, I ain't doing too good, G.
I literally just told someone this. I said, well, how do you want people to view you? Strong, I got it together, all these things. I said, so how would they know you need help?
Right.
Nothing. Crickets.
And that's
big.
that's my strong friend thing. Like, everybody says check on your strong friend, but I'm the strong friend too.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah.
And I'm just, if I'm having a bad day, I'm going to say I'm okay.
Yeah.
If you really know me, to know if I say I'm okay, that's kind of dry. I'm not a dry person like that.
Yeah.
So it's something wrong with me, but I'm not even opening up to express that.
Yeah.
And that could be something on inside of me saying it don't even matter what I say, because I've experienced those friends that didn't even check on me when I lost somebody like real close or whatever. So it's just like, as a strong friend, like, what do I do for myself to get me through it if I can't really open up to other people for how I want them to view me?
If you don't necessarily have like other people as far as friends, it should be somebody, some entity, like a professional, or use your coping skills, set those boundaries. A lot of times when I talk about boundaries, people consider that as being selfish. Like, no, it's okay to say no sometimes. It's okay to retreat within yourself. Not that you are isolating, but you just take some time to yourself. So letting people know, I think irk for me is that a lot of times we think we're communicating, but we're not actually saying what's going on.
Right.
You may say, well, they know what's going on. Well, how did they know? Did you tell them? No.
Right.
Oh, I dropped a little nugget. Okay, they didn't pick it
I
up.
feel so triggered.
You feel exposed.
I do this all the time.
But because we naturally assume that people will get it.
Yeah.
And you I don't pick up on clues. You got to be straightforward with me. Like, something is wrong. I need help. I can't figure it out because we're dealing with our own stuff.
Yeah.
And so if you dropping these nuggets and I'm missing them, and then you mad at me because I'm missing a nugget that I didn't know was a nugget, it's like, now we got conflict.
Yeah, no, it happens more than you think.
Yeah.
Like, a lot more than you think. And I was that strong friend. Personally, I'm the strong person. And it took me to say, hey, I need help too. Like, I have this going on. And people just like, I never knew. I'm like, how you ain't know? I'm wearing this color.
Yeah.
All these little things.
I'm in all black.
I'm in all black. All these little things that I thought would be indicators, really, they didn't see it. And so it took me to realize, like, I have to be straightforward and tell people, like, hey, I'm feeling this way. I have this going on. I need you to be this for me. I need you to help me out this way.
And that's a big thing, because sometimes you don't know, like, I'm going to speak for myself. Sometimes I don't know what I need other people to do to help me. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, Jimo, if you feel this way, but when I reach out and I'm saying something wrong, like, and nobody actually responds, or they try to say, oh, you got it.
That's discouraging.
Yeah,
You know
it's
what
just
I'm
like,
saying?
what do you want me to, like, what am I supposed to do?
Or they'll say something like, damn,
Yeah.
what you gonna do? So, you know what I'm saying? It's just one of them things.
How you gonna handle that?
But, I mean, just to jump right into our topic, it's cool.
Yeah.
All right, let's jump
Let's
right
go
into it. If I may just have y'all to kind of give us, I guess, like a rough description of what is mental health.
Whew, Lord, have mercy.
Hey, we got time.
Look, my brain was just like a million things at one time. So mental health, I correlated with medical health. So medically, you know that you're supposed to go get a checkup every so often. You know, if you have dental problems, you know, all these little things that you're supposed to go and do this. It's the same thing. So mentally, your brain can take on but so much stress, anxiety, that depression, the voices, all those things. Your body, your brain can only take on so much stuff. If you're not going to check in with your therapist, checking in with your psychiatrist, checking into the hospital sometimes, you know, you may need some more help. Your body's going to crash on you. You're going to have a break. You're going to break mentally. And guess what? Mental health also affects your medical. Yeah. So for the people who have struggled with anxiety and depression, and you start realizing you're having a hard time falling asleep, your appetite is off, your hands shaking a little bit, you can't control your breathing, all those things play a part in that. So it's pretty much like checking in just how you would check in with your medical doctor. You check in, you see, hey, what's going on? Am I good? You scan yourself. I got some anxiety, some tension. For me, I hold a lot of tension in my face. So I got to check in with myself like, hey, am I good? I got to ask myself sometimes, am I good? I scan my body. Man, I'm feeling a little anxious. Yeah. And I start to think like, okay, what happened today? Is something going on? And I started thinking back and I'm like, oh, okay, you know what? I was stuck in traffic. This happened. And it doesn't have to be anything big. Stop looking for the big things, these heavy hitters. No, it can be little things. Maybe somebody called you with their problems and it made you anxious. Yeah. You know, maybe you got stuck in traffic. Maybe somebody didn't have your order right. You know, they always forget the hot sauce. You know, it's little things that add up.
Exposed.
Look, I be mad when that hot sauce ain't in the bag now.
Is this the intervention?
Especially when Rudy's don't put that extra seasoning in there.
What?
Damn.
After you don't pay that 65 cents.
You know, waiting in line.
I know.
So that's what I mean is checking in. And if you can check in, and if you notice it's something that you're not actually able to kind of deal with or cope with yourself, check in with somebody else. Check in with your support system. Now, let me tell you this. If this person is part of your support system, you have to be able to tell them everything. If that person you can't tell everything to, they're not actually part of your support system because they can't support you because you're not telling them that.
And that's such a hard thing, especially from a man perspective. Like when, let's say, like I'm engaged.
Okay.
So if I'm going through something, thank you, you know, black men living out here these days. But no, with that, sometimes, you know, when you think that a man's job is to do certain things, let's say provide or cater, but let's just say that one day your check run a little short and you don't really want to mess with her comfort, you know what I mean? To be like, hey, I ain't got it like that. You know what I'm saying? So that's one of the things that I noticed with men, where it's kind of like we lose in that area because we still have that macho. I don't know.
Not only are you expecting
I lost
yourself,
my words right there.
Not only are you expecting yourself to provide, your other is also expecting you to provide. So you feel like
and that's
you're coming
how
up a
we
little
feel.
short. Yeah.
Even though she may not feel that way,
but that's how you feel.
But as a man, you be like, damn, I can't.
That is the problem because you assume that person feels that way. Like you never bring it to the table and have a conversation. Like and that becomes the issue at hand, especially in relationships. It's like my check's short this week. I ain't gonna say nothing. I don't want her to fit. Well, how do you know she gonna trip? Like, how do you know that she won't be like, I got you, babe. I'll put in an extra few hours at work. You don't know that because we don't ask and we don't have that conversation. And in a relationship, you should be able to bring stuff to the table because everything ain't gonna be peaches and cream.
That's true.
All the time.
I will say this. A lot of things you learn, whether that's in childhood, as you was growing up, you can unlearn it too. Yeah. So if you learn, I got to be macho and strong, you can unlearn that and learn a different way to be. You can break that cycle. You can break those stigmas and those pressures that society put on you, but it takes you to be very conscious and aware of what you're doing. So if you notice your check a little short and maybe you wanted to go see Creed 2 and now you realize I can't really afford to go to the movies now. We're going to watch the Fire Stick. So it's up to you to realize like, okay, I don't have it. Yeah. I know I still want to do this. Let me bring it to her. You know, let me talk to her. Bring a little shawty right here. Hey, you know what? I thought I was going to be able to do this. I'm not going to be able to do that. You know, what you want to do. Yeah. And that goes to boundaries. What type of boundaries do you have in your relationship? If you say I don't have it and you have a boundary like, hey, we don't have it, if it's between like doing the if it's between going to do this or paying the bills, we know we're going to pay the bills. We're going to just, struggle through. So you got to have those boundaries in place, but you also have to communicate like Shantae was saying.
Yeah, I think you just got to open up and say what it is. Like for me, if somebody says they're going to do something and they can't do it, my thing is just tell me you can't do it. Because if you say you're going to do something and you don't follow through and you ignore the fact, like that's just gonna make me mad. And I'm the type of person to just shut down and cut it off.
Yeah.
Like I'm not dealing with this. Like
You'll be shocked how far communication will get you.
Yeah.
And that may be a trigger for the woman if you say we're gonna do something and you don't do it and then you don't tell me why we're not doing it. Okay, now I'm mad.
Triggered.
So it's like, let's communicate. Let's be adults.
Let me ask this then.
this is your opportunity. This is your opportunity right now.
I've been planning this show since March, so I got a lot of levels right here.
Okay, let's go.
So this is another one, and this is something that me and Nicole talked about the other day as far as like being a child in a certain type of household. I got a mom that's a manic depressant, you know what I mean? And she deals with it in different ways. It come in waves, you know what I mean? So with that, with the people that you've spoke to or had your moments with, have you noticed that some of the things that people deal with is a direct correlation with the parents, or it's like something that was poured from the parents into the child, and the child grows into an adult and they still deal with certain things, or
Yeah. Dealing with trauma a lot, especially if it happens in childhood, when you grow up with someone, especially the parent, that's when you first learn attachment and that security and things like that. So if that's broken right there, you have to learn healthy attachments, and you didn't learn it from the people that were supposed to be there, your parents. Then from there, let's say you grew up in a home where your mother was an alcoholic. You learn how to live with her. You learn to walk light, tread lightly, don't talk about this. You learn these things, right? Now, once you grow up, you feel like, man, I'm out the house, that's done. But you still learn that. And if you didn't unlearn it, it's going to play out now in your adulthood in different ways. You'll know, girl, if your girl upset, I'm going to walk lightly, I'm going to tread lightly, I ain't going to say this. You're responding the same way you responded to your mother because you didn't work through it, you didn't acknowledge it and unlearn those behaviors.
And that's where
we
therapy...
don't need a part two of this.
We are. But that's like literally where therapy comes in, because I tell people all the time, the behaviors that benefited you in childhood, you become an adult and it's this trigger that's no longer there, and you're still engaging in these behaviors that no longer benefit you.
Yeah.
And so then it becomes drama, then it becomes conflict, and you like, it helped me when I was, well, that trigger is no longer there.
Yeah.
So now, like she said, we have to go and unlearn that. And usually we can't do it by ourselves. You just come to therapy.
Or what some people do, they'll find a mate that reflects their mother or their father.
Yep.
The same kind of issues. Like if your father was an alcoholic, maybe you don't become one, but then you end up with one.
Married to
Yeah.
one.
Right? And you become codependent. So
Because that's where your comfort is. That's what you know. That's what you used to. So you're going to gravitate towards that.
Yeah.
Y'all got me over here reevaluating. I done left the room for a second and kind of looked back at myself like, wait a minute.
My whole spirit just like
So honestly, people come to counseling because I look at it as a tree. You've been hacking at the branches and they grow back. The same issues are still there. So when you come to counseling, I'm pulling at the roots.
Yep.
I'm going deep. I'm trying to pull that tree out so I can plant a new one, and so you can learn new things and achieve your new goals that you want for yourself.
Yeah, and that's something I always thought about. Like when I was putting it together earlier this year, I noticed I was like, with a lot of men, we don't have an outlet sometimes, or we don't feel we have an outlet.
There you go.
And with that, I was like, a man goes to work, his boss says something to him negatively, he pours that depression or that stress into his coworkers. Then he get home, he poured into his lady, and then he poured into his children and everybody around him, and it's just a ball of stress and some depression and things. Yeah. And I'm like, where do you ever have that outlet to let that go?
therapy.
Amen.
Or for some guys, if it ain't healthy, it comes out in different ways. Maybe you drink a little bit too much, you go party, or you like different women, and that's just you just a player, but really you just kind of
engaging in risky behaviors.
Yeah, and I feel like that's something too that we don't actually know how to pinpoint it. Because I remember back in 2014, I moved to Dallas, and I remember 2014, it was a rough year, but I couldn't identify that I was going through, I felt like a depression. In my mind, I was like, damn, I'm like, this year messed up. I'm like, I'm gonna come back next year. I'm gonna bounce back hard next year, but it's just bad luck. So I correlated it with bad luck instead of being like it was an internal issue. And I was just like, and it took me, I mean, from 2014 to 2018 to be like, bruh, you was going through it and you didn't know it. And I just looking at all the symptoms and all the studies, and I'm like, yeah, you were really going with it, going through it right then, and didn't know how to pinpoint it. And so I think that's most of a lot of people nowadays that go through that and don't know how to pinpoint what they're going through.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I'll have a client come and they will just pour out everything and they'll be like, am I crazy? I'm like, no, actually, that's very normal. It's called adjustment disorder. So if you have extreme changes in your life, you have to adjust to that. And for some people, they're very resilient and it takes them no time. For some people, it struggle through. Things happen. But no, you're not crazy. You ain't making this up. You know, everyone kind of goes through it. It just looks different and how people present is different.
Look, I'm finna book an appointment.
Seriously, like insurance. Y'all take insurance?
Amen, we do.
Yes, we do. We do take insurance.
Visa, MasterCard.
All of that.
Cash App.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my.
My bad. I'm going to let you go with the
No,
next
you're
question.
good. Because, I mean, I don't really have, I'm just here to listen because, like I said, been very close to me, mental illness and mental health, and this is something that's very important. One of my, I think maybe the one support person I have in my life is Tay. I call her Tay. She's 6'5". She's actually doing her clinicals right now. And I always try to check in on her and say, are you okay? Because we were going through a lot, but we've been handling it pretty well as far as communicating with each other and being like super open about what we were going through. And we kind of challenged each other to find a therapist. And she was having trouble finding a therapist that she wanted that fit her preference. Yeah. And now I can say, hey, I got 2 ladies that you can choose from. Yes. And I myself, like, it's a such thing as seasonal depression. Yes. A lot of people I know deal with it. Yeah. I didn't. Hold
on, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Seasonal depression?
That's real?
That's real.
No.
Because you know
I
what?
experienced it last year.
Since I've been a little kid, I hate winter. And I go into like a funk in the wintertime.
Last year
like,
it hit me hard.
Me coming from St. Louis, we get winter hit real hard and it shuts the city down. You be stuck in the house. Yep. And of course, me being a kid, stuck in the house with my mama, I'm like, oh my God, man. Like, when the summer comes, you can't go nowhere. The streets icy. You can't. I'm like, oh my God, man.
No, it is a very real thing. And one thing I will say about seasonal depression is not just in the winter. It's any time frame. So that's a reoccurring pattern. So say you in a funk, say February, not even February, in the summertime or spring. It's just this reoccurring pattern that you have each year in around the same time. And the thing with depression and any other mental illness is if it impedes on your day-to-day and it affects your day-to-day functioning, that's when you know, okay, something is going on. And that's the difference between, like, depression and just being sad. You know, because people get confused. It's like, well, I just feel a little sad. But if you're not getting up in the morning or if it's a struggle to get out of bed, if you're irritated all the time, like, those are the times where you're like, okay, I need to go check in.
Yeah. So for females, typically they internalize it. Males is external. That's when they're showing that aggression or doing different things. Females will be like, well, what's wrong with me? What am I doing wrong? Yeah. Man gonna be like, nah, he made me mad. He did this happened.
And that's true because not just playing things back. You know what I mean? I remember being a young guy in a relationship, in love. She break my little heart. I'm like, man, where are the women at? Like, I'm gonna do everything. Well, I need about 10 of them right now.
When dudes break up, they start working out. They be working. They got 2 or 3 jobs.
GNC, they best friends.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
He went to go break some heart.
I went to break heart. I was like, hey, I went full savage mode.
You sound like me. Beast mode. I wonder if I'm still in savage mode. I don't know. I'll have to come to counseling and talk about that.
Okay. There you go. And you know what? Most of the times your counselor is going to have a counselor. Yeah. We have counselors too. We talk to people too. Yep. You got to think it's only but so long we can take on so many people.
That was another question I actually did have, and I'm glad you brought that up. How do y'all stay sane? What is your coping mechanism? Like, how do you check in on yourself?
You know, I like to shop a little bit.
Yeah, we're not going to get her started on her shopping habits. But like she said, we have our own therapist, so you have to go and talk to people just to kind of free up some space from your own life. I like a glass of wine every once in a while.
Every once in a while.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm more cautious when it comes to any type of alcohol or substances. Not that drinking alcohol is bad or anything, but kind of like how diabetes run through your family, so you're more aware. Well, addiction runs through my family,
Yeah.
so I have to be very careful and very selective on what I choose to cope with. So even though I like to shop, I do like to journal. I love deep breathing. I love lifting weights. I'm not much of a yoga person, although I'm trying to get into it. But I have different things, different outlets. I have a strong support system that I can just call.
That's really important.
Yeah.
Now,
I like cupcakes. I ain't gonna lie to you.
I think that's my problem.
Hostess got a new snack coming out.
Glitter.
We keep some candy at the office now.
We do keep snacks at the office.
Snacks at the office.
And tea.
Oh, I
Like our
love tea.
Yeah.
We love our tea.
Hostess got a new snack.
When you bite into it.
But what is deep breathing? Is that like the same as meditation, or is that something different?
So deep breathing is just focused on your breathing, and it's a little bit different from how you normally breathe.
Okay.
Because maybe you take shorter breaths, so it's really a really deep breath that you do. So you breathe in through your nose, let your stomach expand, and then you breathe out through your mouth, and that sink feeling, that you just kind of sink into that feeling.
Okay.
Meditation is maybe where you have kind of like free floating, where you just let your mind kind of roam. You have guided meditation where you're listening to somebody saying, "No, I want you to lay down, count to 1." And it's funny, but I do guided meditation in some of my sessions, but that one is a little bit more structured than the deep breathing. And I'm glad that you asked, because I would tell some clients to do deep breathing, and then something says, "Tammy, ask them if they know what it is." And I said, "Well, show me how you deep breathe." And they're like,
You gonna have a panic attack.
I said, no, stop, don't do that in this office. And then I have to actually show them. So it's good. If you don't know something, if your counselor says something, ask questions for sure. So that was really good.
I think my watch has it. Set
And yes, the calm. That's where it like tick and stuff when it's like time to breathe in and breathe out. Yeah, but also the Calm app is another good one. It has the sounds like the rain and the white noise and things like that. But with coping skills, it's different for everybody, and so I don't want people to feel like if I don't do deep breathing, then I'm not doing something right. It's everybody's different. Deep breathing is just not my thing.
Yeah.
I don't.
Headspace is another app for meditation,
Yes.
guided meditation. Headspace.
Okay. I'm
So-
downloading all these apps.
That's for the people, if you notice that your brain just keeps going and going and you just have so many thoughts, guided meditation is going to be better for you. It's because you get to focus on just like one thing.
And essential oils too. I have a roll-on that I carry with me, and it has lavender. And so if I feel anxious or a little uneasy, I would just roll it, put it on
My
my wrist.
coworker used to use lavender all the time.
I use it at night.
It's a calming oil. So it's just different things that you can do. Whatever helps you calm down, that's not gonna harm you, like drugs and alcohol. Go for it.
Did you give your coworker anxiety?
Nah. I hope not.
Should have communicate that with you.
Well, ladies, I hate to cut the show short. Like,
This was good.
this was a good episode. I definitely want to get you guys scheduled to come back in.
For sure.
So Tammy and Shanta, we do want to thank you from Krown Jewels for coming through and giving us those clinical information. Do you want to go ahead and give us y'all information? Or?
Oh, yes. So if you are looking for a therapist, we do accept insurances, EAP, flex spending. Our phone number is 469-407-1120. You can find us on Instagram, Trinity Rising Counseling. You can find us online, Trinity Rising Counseling Center. We're always here. Emails, just contact us, hit us up.
Yeah. Oh, and follow us on YouTube.
Yes.
Subscribe to Trinity Talks.
Yes.
So that's where we educate, advocate, and just talk to you guys about mental health. We make it real, relatable,
And fun.
Like that's just our personality. We're not making therapy boring and uncomfortable.
Yeah. So if you tired of sitting on an old leather couch, come holler at us.
Yeah, we got you.
All right, so you want to go ahead and do a drop?
Do a drop. Do I have anything this week? No, just plugging the Connect Dallas. They had the holiday party last night. Shout out to y'all. Heard it went really, really well. That's all I have.
All right. Again, it's your boy G-Mo the Great. You know what I'm saying? And we got Krown Jewels at everything. Go to www.crownjewelspodcast.com. That'll get you attached to all of our social media. You can email us questions. Anything you got for the ladies as well. If you can't reach them, give it to us. We'll be sure to make sure that they get that. And, yeah.
Bye, you guys.
It's the Crown Jewel.